This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Right now at 6 on Good Morning Indiana. Stranded at the school bus stop.
I'm to the point. I'm just to my breaking point. I need help.
Parents turn to RTV6 after their kids are left out in the cold more than once.
Battling a problem that's in every Indiana county. Working for you, we're highlighting impacts of human trafficking and what you can do to help.
Concern surrounding commonly prescribed antibiotics continues to rise.
What's at stake is lives.
Call 6 Investigates explains why the FDA's latest move has some parents worried.
And it's the time of year to hunt for college scholarships. This morning, one mom discovers a way to uncover scholarships most families don't know about.
All right, it is 6 o'clock here, Thursday, January 23rd. Thanks for waking up early with us on Good Morning Indiana.
So a lot of green on this anchor desk. It is not St. Patrick's Day, but it is National Reading Day. So if you have a child, read a book to somebody today.
Yes, and we're going to read you the news here. I almost said the nose. Read you the news here in a moment, but that is after meteorologist Todd Clausen lets us know what we can expect weather-wise for our Thursday.
You know, it's a little bit of a trade-off today. We have warmer temperatures, but we also have some rain in the forecast. The good news is the rain, though, does not arrive until later this evening. So as we get you out the door, it's not as cold as it has been. 29 to 34 degrees with cloudy skies across the area. If you would just look at radar, if you would pull it up and say the Storm Team 6 app or the Storm Shield app and the RTV6 app, you would see what looks like snow falling on the western side of the state. This is not reaching the ground. And you notice the last few frames, there's less and less in the coverage of the snow. That's because this is running into a lot of dry air. And so it's going to take a little while for the air to saturate itself and eventually produce some rain showers. And I don't think that happens really until later on this evening. But eventually some of this precipitation will start to make its way into the area. The good news is when it arrives here, our temperatures will be well above freezing. It's a dry morning for us, 32 degrees at 8 a.m., 38 degrees by the noon hour. We'll detail when that rain arrives later on this evening, coming up in just a few minutes. But right now, it's time for another update on the roadways with Lauren at 6:01.
All right, Todd, here's a look right now on the southwest side, a view of I-465 and Man Road. Traffic here is moving along smoothly. You can see some flashing lights there in the distance. It's just a stalled vehicle in the shoulder, but it's not causing any traffic delays. So that is good news for your commute. Let's take a look at our traffic now map this morning as you're traveling eastbound on I-74 in Brownsburg, heading to the west side. It's a 7-minute drive from State Road 267 to I-465.
January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and the thought of it happening to you or your friends or a family member is awfully scary.
That's right, but officials here in Indiana say that human trafficking is actually happening in every county across our state. Our own Kelsey Anderson sat down with a survivor who says she was trafficked by her own mom at 11 years old.
Which is just unimaginable. And Kelsey, this brave woman, is sharing her story in order to protect other Hoosiers.
Yeah, that's right. So Genevieve Meyer tells me she's speaking out now so other survivors can see that there is hope on the other side of trauma and to show the world something like this can happen to anyone. Her story starts in Southern California.
The first time I was trafficked was 11. I was trafficked by family members. I had a 37-year-old boyfriend.
Genevieve Meyer says although she was just 11 years old, she believes she was the one putting a roof over her family's head.
I suspect that maybe I might have paid the rent because the boyfriend that I had was the person who owned the house that we lived in.
She says eventually someone outside her family called police.
Investigation was done and he was tried and convicted. He got a whole 4 months in jail.
When Genevieve tried to get away from her environment, she was labeled as a runaway and as a bad kid, and a case manager was assigned to check in on her.
That didn't happen. And what happened instead is a 42-year-old man in the neighborhood found me attractive and began preying on me.
And instead of helping her, her mom signed a so-called permission slip that made it legal for the adult man to marry a 15-year-old.
So she signed over some kind of guardianship to this man and gave him me and this guardianship paperwork, and he took me from Southern California in a recreational vehicle, so like an RV, all the way to Mississippi. So it was just the two of us. I was alone with him. He had complete access to do whatever he liked.
Genevieve was able to get away from her husband and fled to the other side of the country. She says she became pregnant and endured an uphill battle to protect her child and get a divorce. She says she tells her story now to show how it can happen to anyone, and it could be in plain sight.
And I mean, I definitely could have just left it in my past, you know, and moved forward and never spoke out about it. But yeah, to bring that awareness of it could happen to anybody, no matter, you know, what your paycheck is or what your education level is or what zip code you live in, it can absolutely happen to anybody.
Kelsey, Genevieve is so brave to tell her story, and you were telling us she is doing more than doing just that.
Yeah, so she started talking to lawmakers and advocating to get laws made here in Indiana to make it harder for predators to prey on children. And actually, one of those bills is going to be discussed on Monday on the House floor. So.
And of course, we'll keep track of that. And she said this can happen to anybody, and we're talking both genders as well. And you met another survivor when you were doing this story.
Yeah, I met another survivor who is a man. So we're going to hear from him in the next half hour, and he's going to tell his story of being trafficked also at age 11.
So scary, something we can all keep our eyes out for. Kelsey, thank you so much.
The time now is 6:05. We are at the live desk here in the newsroom this morning, looking ahead to day 3 of the impeachment trial and keeping you updated on all major developments. An outburst shook up day 2 of the Senate impeachment trial, police arresting a man who they say unlawfully entered the chamber, interrupting the proceedings as Democrats began to lay out their case. Day 2 was reminiscent of day 1. A hot topic continued to be that of witnesses. When it comes to those witnesses, Democrats say there's no way they're trading the GOP for witnesses like Hunter Biden.
He is relevant. He is material.
That trade is not on the table.
This isn't like some fantasy football trade.
After a day of sitting back while Democrats laid out their case, President Trump's lawyers weighed in after the proceedings ended for the day.
I want to let them try their case, and we want to try our case, because we believe that, without a question, the president will be acquitted.
What can we expect today? Democrats will continue opening arguments all the way through Friday under the rules approved by the Senate. Then President Trump's lawyers will have 3 days to review their case. That's the latest from the live desk.
Raphael, thank you. Miraculously, no injuries after what state police say was a fiery crash on I-70 involving several semi-trucks. Investigators say a semi collided with another truck stopped on the shoulder, causing an explosion and large fire around 7 o'clock Wednesday night. This all happened on the Mount Comfort Road exit near Greenfield. 2 other semis ran off the road. An Indianapolis man accused of shooting and killing his girlfriend while she was lying in bed. New information coming from charging documents against 27-year-old Damarian Moore. IMPD announced his arrest Monday in connection to 2 homicides at separate apartment complexes on the west side. According to the probable cause, Moore killed his girlfriend, Shawnee Scott, and Krishan Snelling on January 8th. Scott's body was found the next day.
It's 6:07. RTV6 is getting action for frustrated parents who say their children's school bus never showed up. Families say it's not the first time the school bus has been a no-show or extremely late at a stop in the IPS School 49 district on the southwest side. Several parents reached out to RTV6 for help, saying that their calls to the district and the school's bus service, Durham Transportation, had not been returned.
Extremely frustrating. So bad that I haven't even been able to think at work today because I'm so frustrated with her not getting to school. And I can't take off work because then I can't pay the bills.
She's missed 7 days because of it. But on the other days when it did show up, it was always late. And then she gets in trouble for being late. I don't understand that part either.
After RTV6 took those concerns to IPS and Durham, the transportation company released a statement acknowledging delays and issues at that specific bus stop. Officials tell us the driver has been removed from the route and a new driver will take over.
The time now is 6:08, and let's take you to Delaware County, and there Ball State University says it's reviewing a classroom incident that ended up with the police showing up. Take a look.
All right, you want to sit here or do you want to leave?
Why am I moving in the middle of class? He legit stopped the class to try to move me. I've been back here on this PowerPoint. Are you being disruptive in the class? No, I'm not doing that. No. The whole damn class is here. It's cool. It's cool. You know what? I'm gonna leave. He's been on our work the whole time.
The student who posted that video says an instructor called police because a classmate would not move to a different seat in the middle of that classroom. Ball State released this statement to RTV6 saying in part, any time something like this occurs on our campus, the university works to understand what happened and how we can improve based on what we learn. This includes talking with those who were involved and putting into place those measures that will prevent future situations.
Posting signs like this in classrooms across Indiana will not be required under a new bill moving through the State House. Instead, it would be optional due to an amendment passed on Wednesday. If schools do choose to buy and hang "In God We Trust" posters, they must raise the funds on their own. They cannot use public money. The original bill would have made the posters mandatory. Bloomington Democrat Mark Stoops cited the Founding Fathers and the Declaration of Independence before voting against the bill.
John Adams said the government of the United States of America is not, in any sense, founded on the Christian religion. George Washington would never say Jesus or Christ in public appearances and even refused to take communion. The Declaration of Independence noted that the power of the government is derived not from God, but from the people.
The bill now heads to the full Senate.
Time right now, 6:09 this morning. An Indiana mom's quest to get more stringent warnings on popular antibiotics has hit a roadblock. The FDA has not taken action in a citizen petition filed 6 months ago. Heather McCarthy has been pushing for changes after the 2013 death of her son, Shay. She says that Shay was suffering from mental health side effects from the antibiotic Levaquin, and he died after crashing his car into a cement embankment. The Southern Network for Adverse Reactions and Dr. Charles Bennett submitted a petition to the FDA requesting a black box warning to identify psychiatric adverse events, including suicide. The petition also requests the FDA add fluoroquinolone associated disability to the black box warning. Heather McCarthy and Dr. Bennett are upset with the FDA's response and lack of investigation.
It's really important, this question, because without these a well-written product label, patients are uninformed. And here we have a side effect that includes suicide, that includes psychiatric disabilities, neuropsychiatric disabilities for over 10 years in time. For a drug that's been used, Cipro and levofloxacin, by 22 million people in the United States last year, about 10% of the population.
Drug maker Janssen stopped making brand name Levaquin in December of 2017. However, the product can stay on shelves until September. Also, millions of Americans are still taking generic versions of the drugs. The makers of Levaquin stand by the safety of the medication. We reached out to the FDA for a response a week ago. They just sent us a response saying that they're working to resolve the issues raised in that petition.
This is a serious problem. A deadly virus in China continuing to spread this morning. Coming up at 6:15, the emergency meeting health leaders just had and how they plan to stop, hopefully, that virus. But first, let's check in with the one and only Todd Clausen. TK, good morning.
Raphael, good morning to you. Good morning, everybody. Rain returns to the forecast starting today. However, this morning, you did not need to have the umbrella handy. Even this afternoon, you don't need it, but I would grab it, especially if you're going to be out from the afternoon into the evening hours, because you'll definitely need it this evening as the rain showers become more numerous. We'll talk all about them in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time now is 6:12. Stay with Good Morning Indiana. We'll be back here in just a few minutes.
Flooring, floors to your home, that too.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. The time now is 6:15. Let's take a look at those stories that will be making headlines later today. Britain's Brexit bill passed its last hurdle in Parliament on Wednesday. It could be approved by Queen Elizabeth II as soon as today. Britain is scheduled to leave the European Union on January the 31st. Back here at home, the Massachusetts woman who sent her boyfriend texts urging him to kill himself is set to be released from prison early today because of good behavior. The Bristol County Sheriff's Office says that Michelle Carter has been a model inmate. She was convicted of involuntary manslaughter as a teenager back in 2017.
The World Health Organization is discussing the spread of the coronavirus that started in China. The town where it began has been quarantined, with travel in and out being shut down. 11 million people live there. The coronavirus has killed at least 17 people and spread to 5 other countries. The CDC confirmed the first case here in the U.S. on Tuesday. The National Health Institute says a vaccine is in development, but it will be a few months before trials can even begin. Coming up on GMA, an American traveler talks about the current conditions in China. We'll also learn more about a patient infected by the virus in Seattle.
It is 6:16. Voters in Seattle will be some of the first in the country to cast ballots on their mobile devices. The service will be available for 1.2 million registered voters in the upcoming Board of Supervisors election. Amazon helped develop this technology. Previously, mobile voting has been used for U.S. citizens who live overseas or for people with disabilities. Now, it could be a while before it's available nationally. Security experts say there are still too many ways hackers could disrupt those large-scale elections.
Maybe one day we'll be able to text Todd and say, hey, Todd, what's on the radar?
I mean, I guess we could do that right
We
now.
could do that right now. We could just ignore him, pretend like he's not standing right over to our right.
I do get plenty of those from my friends.
Oh, yeah.
Can we vote on the weather?
You've saved a lot of my friends' wedding days, Todd.
Yes, that's true.
All right, outside, there's nothing on radar right now. That's the good news for everybody as they walk out the door this morning. You don't have to encounter any precipitation, but we are expecting some rainfall to make its way into the area later on this afternoon. Now, you may be asking, well, Todd, I see snow here on radar on the western side of the state. First of all, a lot of this is not reaching the ground, too. It's moving from south to north. It's not progressing to the east. So with the exception of maybe a few flurries here, Lafayette to the north, we're dry throughout the remainder of the day, or morning rather. However, later on today, the second wave of precipitation is going to make its way to the north, and it's really this that's going to bring us our rainfall later on this afternoon and into the evening hours. Watch how the snow basically just fizzles away as it lifts to the north as it runs into the dry air. So it's cloudy at 11 o'clock. It's still basically just cloudy at 5 and 6 o'clock. Once we get beyond 6 o'clock, though, watch how the showers lift from south to north. They'll all be very, very light. So if you're not going home until towards the tail end of the evening commute, and then you do have plans this evening to be out and about, that is when you are going to need to have the umbrella handy. And once the rain starts across the area, it's going to continue overnight. The good news is temperatures overnight, they stay above freezing. So this is all rain, but I would plan tomorrow morning definitely on a longer commute due to the rain that will be around. And then the rain just sticks around off and on throughout the entire day, with more of a break the second half of the day compared to the first half. But even tomorrow evening, it's still going to have that damp feel, even if there's no rain actually falling from the sky. Outside right now, just clouds. As you look at the city skyline, 32 degrees. The wind's out of the southeast at 8 miles per hour. That southeasterly wind keeping the temperatures a little bit warmer this morning. We are in the 30s and 40s across the area. And throughout the day today, our temperatures will climb up into the mid-40s for your afternoon high. So we're above normal, dry through 6 o'clock, and then the rain showers will arrive this evening, with those temperatures staying just above freezing, or anywhere from about 36 to 38 degrees. Then overnight tonight, those temperatures do not drop off much. That is the good news for our forecast. Once the colder air does come in Saturday morning, there will be some spotty snow showers on the backside of this storm system, but you see how spotty they are. So Saturday, don't be surprised if you see some snow showers. As far as any accumulation goes, maybe there could be a coating in spots to a little bit more than that, but it will be very spotty. It's not going to be a widespread area of snow moving through. Then Sunday, 38 degrees with mostly cloudy skies, back into the 40s starting on Monday.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. We do have our live drive out on the roads, keeping a close eye on your Thursday morning commute. Shay Goodpaster in the driver's seat, and this is a dash cam view traveling on Southeastern, just heading past Emerson Avenue, going over to the southeast side, checking out reports of a possible water main break. So we're going to keep you updated as soon as he gets to that location. But for right now, it's a really smooth Thursday morning commute. I'm not monitoring any crashes around the metro area or central Indiana, so just use caution caution as you're heading out there, but it should be smooth sailing.
Lauren, thank you so much. The January clouds and the cool weather is the exact polar opposite of a typical warm race day right here in Indianapolis. The sound of a solitary engine signals the start of something new at IMS. Soak that in. We'd love to hear the engines roar out on the city's west side. We saw the first stock car laps on the IMS road course. The initial NASCAR test is ahead of the July 4th Xfinity Series race that will make its debut this year. Now, the data will help NASCAR decide things like gearing, tires, and aero specs for that race.
There is no doubt going to be some pretty physical racing because there's a lot of areas not only to try and outbrake and pass, but actually set up in the prior corner to set up for those passing, zones and things like that.
Yep. We love that sound. The test held yesterday will also help officials decide whether to use the 14-turn setup like we see for the Grand Prix in May or take out an extra curve.
In just 1 week, Victor Oladipo's long-awaited return 1 year after that ruptured quad tendon. And only on RTV6, a fresh look at Victor's return. He's been working out the last 3 days with the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. So up next, a return to the Pacers once they get back from their West Coast trip. The preparation so good with the Mad Ants, the coach has been drawing up situations for him.
It's, not only just physically, but mentally. I mean, these last 3 days, you can really tell that he's getting very close and, he's getting himself ready. I mean, I saw some of the athleticism and the speed, especially these last 3 days, that, is very intriguing.
Meanwhile, the Pacers in Phoenix last night, TJ Warren returning to the place he called home for 5 seasons. The blue and gold win on the road, 112-87. Next stop is tomorrow to take on the Golden State Warriors.
At 6:22, do you remember your first day on the job? Well, coming up at 6:24, why the first few minutes of this firefighter's career are some he'll never forget. We'll be right back after the break.
The time now is 6:25 and trending at 6. First responders, they train for a lot of things, but some things are not in the training book. For example, call it a flying start or hitting the ground running. Michael Iacovello passed a big test on his first day on the job. You see, he helped a woman deliver a baby his first day on the job on his first emergency call. The mom says the firefighter knew exactly what to do, helping her give birth to a beautiful baby girl.
Good
what
for
a
him
beauty.
and for her.
So cute. A very special surprise for a very special teacher. Mrs. Emily Marshall teaches first grade at Central Elementary in Moore, Oklahoma. She is fighting for the 8th time against breast cancer. Because of that, her students and her family wanted to give her this surprise performance to cheer her on. Wow.
We cheered her on. Yeah.
Tough lady. Well, a dog with an inoperable tumor in Pasco, Washington is getting to become a police canine for the day.
Buddy.
So police officers came up with a bucket list to help Eddie here make the most of his time. They made him an honorary canine officer and took him on a tour around town. His assignment, to visit area stores and pick up items donated to the local canine rescue. Officers say he was shown the love and support that he deserves everywhere.
Oh, you even got an interview on the news.
Oh, my goodness. Such a cutie.
But the big question today, will it be a good day to take that dog for a walk on the Monon?
As long as you do it before dark. Okay, before dark, you're all right. I mean, I know it's not light right now. You can go out this morning as well. But most of the rain today is going to be later on this evening. There could be a few flurries or sprinkles on the western side of the state this morning, but otherwise we're in pretty good shape. Otherwise, just lots of clouds today. Not much of anything in the way of sunshine, but your noontime temperature already up to 40 degrees. But here is Storm Team 6 radar. You see the snow just off to our west, the rain to our south. It's going to take a while to get here, as despite how close it is mileage-wise, it's going to take a little while for the atmosphere to become saturated enough for some of this precipitation to reach the ground. So until this evening, I think you're in decent shape. High temperatures today, eventually topping off in the 30s to the north, mid-40s here in the city.
Todd, thank you so much. College, as you know, can be expensive, whether at a private or at a public school. So many families, they hunt for scholarships to cut down on those soaring costs.
Working for You, John Matteray shows how to find extra cash for college many families don't know about, so you don't waste your money.
Spring is college decision time for high school seniors and the start of college application time for juniors. But before you narrow down prospective schools, you might want to know how to find hidden college scholarships. Finding money for college is not easy. Allison Lennox works to pay her way.
I work pretty much full-time to help pay for college.
Sarah Longmire's friends struggle to find tuition money.
It makes it harder for college students to go through their education because of that.
Charlotte Faulkner doesn't want her daughter to worry about money next year, so she's on a scholarship hunt.
We have applied for probably at least 20 scholarships. She thinks I'm crazy, but you know, that's the way it goes.
Charlotte's found sites that list hundreds of hidden grants and scholarships.
There's one, it was CAPEX, CAPPEX.com. Scholarship Owl was another website.
Others are fastweb.com and scholarships.com. And if you're old school,
bought the book, the Ultimate Scholarship Book for 2020.
Charlotte at first thought her daughter would be covered if she filled out the FAFSA form for federal student aid. But she quickly learned there are a lot of other grants and programs out there that are not included in the FAFSA. If you search, you'll find grants or scholarships for every interest.
Equestrian riders, aquatics, there's a scholarship out there for if you want to do beetle bug research.
Don't like bugs? Other sources of aid include your church, the parents' employers, the Chamber of Commerce, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. But Charlotte has one caution.
Because as soon as it said, enter your credit card, I said, delete, we don't need you.
Great advice. Your hunt for scholarships should not cost you anything, just time and effort, so you don't waste your money. Working for you, I'm John Batteries. Good morning, Indiana.
Now on Good Morning Indiana on this Thursday morning, here's a look at your 6:30 news feed. A shooting suspect is in the hospital this morning after police say he led them on a chase on the west side of Indianapolis. Police say the suspect crashed their car around 10 last night near West Vermont Street and Gasoline Alley. Officers say the chase started after a shooting on Beachway Drive.
Charges have been dismissed against a man in a 25-year-old murder case. Carl Tyler was charged in the 1995 murder of Tammy Serber. Police say she was strangled and left on the side of South Bade Road on the east side. A DNA test led police to Tyler 9 years ago. He wasn't arrested until last year, but prosecutors say problems with evidence forced them to drop the charges.
We're taking a closer look at new data that shows more people are getting shot and fewer homicides are being solved right here in Indianapolis. The criminal homicide rate was down last year, but the number of non-fatal shootings and shooting victims is on the rise. New IMPD Chief Randall Taylor says he expects new initiatives like the Crime Gun Intelligence Center will help reduce violent crime in the Circle City.
A bill that would allow schools to pay for weapons training for school employees is making its way through the State House. The bill would divert money from the Safe Schools grant. Those funds could then be used to pay for specialized weapons training for employees.
Also at the State House, a bill that would make it illegal to hold your phone while driving is headed to the full House. It would not affect mounted phones, Bluetooth, or speakers. Right now, Indiana has a law that prohibits texting while driving, but police say that law is unenforceable.
On this Thursday, welcome to Good Morning Indiana. It is the 23rd day of this new year. And what happened to the year? I mean, I just thought 23 days in. I just felt like I said Happy New Year just a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, it's going to be spring break before we know it. It's going to be summer vacation.
That's okay with me.
It goes quick. Here we are almost through January. February is a shorter month. Granted, this year there's leap years, so 29 days. But then it's March. So once you get to March, you never know. You can start mixing in some 80-degree temperatures. They are not in the they are not in the forecast, though, in the next 7 days, which we'll share with you in just a little bit. But as we get you out the door on this Thursday morning, you'll need the heavier coat once again and the hat and gloves. But it is warmer than it has been the past few mornings. Instead of talking about teens and 20s, this morning we are in the 30s in most locations. I did not check the umbrella because you don't need it this morning or really this afternoon. So I don't think you have to carry it around throughout the entire day. But if you are walking out of the house this morning and your plans keep you out and about until after 5 o'clock and especially after 8 o'clock, and then you may want to have it. It's not till after sunset that our rain chances will really start to ramp up across the area. You see some snow and a mixed bag on Storm Team 6 radar to the west. That is not reaching the ground. What we'll keep our eye on is this rain that's down to our south. That's going to start to lift to the north, and it will eventually bring us rain showers later on this evening. But with the exception of a sprinkle or a flurry in far northwest Indiana, we are not expecting anything this morning except lots of clouds and temperatures that'll slowly warm up to 38 degrees by the noon hour.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Live Drive just came upon that water main break we're monitoring this morning to our far east. This is at the 5500 block of Brookville Road. To give you a better idea of where that is at, we're talking east of Emerson Avenue, but then west of Arlington Avenue, sort of between those two roads. You can see that crews are there at the scene, and there's some water on the road, so just use caution. If you do have to travel through that area, we'll continue to check in with Shay Goodpaster and see if there are any traffic issues people in this area need to be aware of besides that. But we do want to take you back here downtown for a construction project. This one here is going to last a little longer than everyone first thought. Citizens Energy Group says that a sewer rehab work on Pennsylvania Street will continue into early next week. Right now, 3 lanes are closed between New York and Washington. The agency says that one of those lanes is scheduled to open this afternoon, so just give yourself that extra time.
January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and although the thought is scary and something you might think could never happen to you or your family, officials here in Indiana say it is happening in every single county.
And our Kelsey Anderson sat down with an Indiana man who was trafficked in California at age 11 by his own mother.
Yeah, Raphael, that's right. This man, Eric Harris, he was trafficked by his own mom, and officials want to send the message during the month of January that trafficking can happen to anyone, anywhere, and we need to be alert to things that are going on around us, especially with the children in our lives. Eric Harris is a human trafficking survivor. He tells me his mom trafficked him when he was 11, when she introduced him into the pedophilia culture. After that, things got much worse.
I got out. My mom moved in with these coworkers. That was told to me. And then slowly but surely, a trafficker two or groomer two, he saw the brokenness of the relationship. And so he played on that vulnerability and that need for me to have the nuclear family.
Eric says once the trust was built, the man began exploiting him to even more men. He was able to escape, and now he's working on getting his education. I spoke with Kate Kimmer with the Indiana Coalition to End Sexual Assault and Human Trafficking. She tells me there are signs, especially for kids, when something bad is happening to them at home. And the main one, and the easiest thing to see if their behavior makes a drastic change. If straight-A students start acting up in class or sleeping or fighting, that's the time you should ask a question about what's going on. She says when it comes to children, you shouldn't be afraid to call authorities because it's better to be safe than sorry.
You need to be less worried about the adults that are harming kids and whether or not you might be wrong. If you're wrong, you're wrong. They'll do the assessment and they'll leave. And if you're not wrong, you may have access services for a child that has been going through a nightmare that you couldn't imagine.
So Kelsey, a crazy story here. Eric says that there is one message that he wants all of us to take away from this morning.
Yeah, and that is to believe a survivor. He says their stories may change, and that's because they went through such a traumatic event that their story could change, but just be thankful that they trusted you enough to tell you their story and the traumatic event that they went through.
Kelsey, thank you so much.
Yeah.
January is also National Mentoring Month, and one of the best-known mentoring groups needs more volunteers. Big Brothers Big Sisters says 1,200 kids are currently waiting for matches right now. 70% of them are boys. Doug Shreve and Will Ramey, who were first matched several years ago, say relationships formed through the program can even continue when littles grow up.
He showed me that the worldly view of what a man is, it isn't necessarily what a man truly is, you know, and I feel like without that influence in my life, things may have been a lot different.
The relationship started with just the two of us, and then my wife came on board. Will has seen all of our sons be born. I've seen his kids born.
You can learn more about how you can apply or what the process is like to become a big brother or big sister. Just head on over to theindychannel.com and click on this story.
So you have to check this out. If you never thought getting a haircut could save your life, I want you to think again. The next story of how some people are getting special training to help spot a potential killer.
And if your teen is stressing out over those upcoming SAT or ACTs, this may be some good news for them. We'll show you a big school that's saying those standardized tests will not be necessary. It's 6:37. We'll be right back.
Keller. Keller & Keller.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Students at one Indianapolis cosmetology school learn how to save you from a bad hair day, but that's not all. These stylists are also getting some special training, and this could possibly save your life.
Aspiring stylists here at the McKenzie Center for Innovation and Technology are learning how to detect skin cancer. The training is offered through Eyes on Cancer, a company that believes the beauty industry is the first line of defense when it comes to spotting skin cancer. The instructor found out about the initiative after seeing a story here on RTV6. And since December, 25 of her students have become certified. Claudia Hack says she is already using what she learned from the course.
Neighbors, I was trimming her hair and I noticed a spot on her neck, and I told her that she might want to get that looked at.
If you're interested in joining the Eyes on Cancer army of certified beauty professionals, you can learn more about signing up at theindychannel.com.
At 6:41, we continue to cover education. IU Bloomington says it will no longer require all prospective students to submit standardized test scores on their applications. The policy change was unanimously approved by the Bloomington Faculty Council, that happening earlier this week. It means that undergraduates applying for the fall 2021 year term can choose whether or not to have their SAT or ACT scores considered as part of their application. Now, the university says they made the change because some students, they feel that their scores do not accurately reflect their academic potential. Now, there are some groups of students that are still required to turn in those scores. Homeschooled students and those subject to NCAA standards must still submit their ACTs and SATs. Applications with the test score option will be available starting August the 1st.
Well, the biggest coffee company in the world wants everyone to feel welcome. Coming up next, why they chose this week to start an initiative that they hope will bear fruit for years to come.
Say it isn't so. Could this be the end of an American icon? We'll show you the dramatic footage and when you'll be able to see the other half of a nutty, literal cliffhanger. Todd.
And as you walk out the door here this morning, you're walking out to temperatures that are a little bit warmer than they have been. We're in the 30s this morning, and that's the way it will stay through 11 o'clock with just cloudy skies. However, later on tonight, all this rain and snow is going to lift to the north. We'll talk about the timeline of when the rain arrives here in central Indiana coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time now is 6:42. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
1,000 online at edmartinacura.com.
Welcome back. It is 6:44. An update for you from Live Drive, and our photographer Shay Goodpaster here at the scene of a water main break. This is along Brookville Road. He tells us that the two right lanes are blocked heading westbound for crews working this water main break. Traffic heading eastbound can still get by, and then the westbound drivers are kind of using a center lane to get around this scene. So just use caution if this is part of your commute and avoid it to avoid delays. Of course, we'll keep you updated.
Starbucks is bringing its Black Partner Network to Indianapolis, the goal to improve the company's diversity and inclusion practices. The network kicked off this week in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Starbucks Regional Director Deshaun Jackson says it's part of a constant effort to include all customers who come through Starbucks doors.
Yeah, we have a Black Party Network that is across all of our states, but we kicked off the local chapter here in Indiana today. But we have so many different networks, you know, in our organization. We have the Pride Network, we have the Women's Network, we have the AFN Network for any of our military partners. So there's just many different opportunities for like all of our partners to participate. So this is just one of many of the networks.
In 2018, Starbucks revitalized their diversity and inclusion efforts after a racial profiling incident that took place inside a Philadelphia store.
Today, Mayor Joe Hogsett will give an update on the city's efforts to improve fairness in awarding contracts to women and minority business owners. The disparity study was announced last year. The goal is to see if minorities, women, and disabled business owners face discrimination when trying to open up shop here in Indianapolis. The results of this year-long study will be revealed this morning at 10 a.m. Well, this is not going to make a lot of people happy because this little guy's been making people happy and giving them something delicious to snack on for decades.
But there's a new commercial out that seems to show this mascot finding himself in trouble and then left a shell of himself.
So now the world is wondering, is it time to say goodbye to Mr. Peanut?
We're too heavy.
Matt, let go.
No, you let go.
Hey, Mr. Peanut, no, you don't. Don't do it, Mr. Peanut. No!
maybe he'll be all right. Maybe not.
Yes, that is Wesley Snipes and Matt Walsh, saved apparently by Mr. Peanut's selfless sacrifice. The parent company of Mr. Peanut is now Kraft Heinz. They say funeral services for the legendary legume, you don't say legume every day on television, will be held, of course, on a commercial that will air during, of course, the Super Bowl. And I wonder how much that commercial will cost to put on the air. But that's a legume, by the way.
So he catches fire there. So maybe he's just a roasted peanut now.
Maybe, right?
I'm just happy that I can say legume until I have not said that in years. Hey, let's check in with the forecast with Todd.
I do like honey roasted peanuts. That sounds pretty good right about now.
There you go.
I like that little play there. All right, outside right now, as you walk out the door, you're walking out to quiet conditions. That's the good news. You're also walking out to temperatures that are not as cold this morning as it has been this week when we've been in the teens and single-digit wind chills. It's a dry commute for everybody with the exception of maybe a sprinkle or flurry out to the west, but rain does arrive later today, so you have to kind of keep that in mind and prepare for it if you're going to be out late tonight. As far as radar right now, it's quiet, but as you look off to the west, these snow showers have basically been moving from north to south, south to north rather, throughout the course of the morning hours, and they've been diminishing, and that's because they're running into a lot of dry air that's in place across the area. But you notice the snow turns into rain, and then that extends all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. So there's a lot of moisture to work with, and it's a slow-moving storm system. So once the precipitation starts here in central Indiana, we are going to be dealing with it really all the way through at least midday on Saturday. Those snow showers diminish there on the western side of the state. We're dry through the middle half of your day, including your lunch hour. Once we get to 6:30, this is when we start to see some spotty showers come in, especially in southern locations, and then they'll lift to the north this evening. And by 10 p.m., we're looking at light rain across most of the area. And then this light rain is going to continue off and on throughout the overnight hours. But the good news is temperatures stay above freezing throughout the overnight hours, so it's all rain. So when you walk out the door tomorrow for your commute into work on the Friday and the kids head off to the bus stop, you're dealing with rain showers. You'll definitely need the umbrella tomorrow. It's going to be a Storm Team 6 alert day with this rain moving through. And then we do get a little bit of a break Friday evening if you have plans. It'll still kind of be damp and dreary, but we won't have the steadier shower activity like we'll have for the first half of the day tomorrow. Outside right now, 32 degrees, sitting right at freezing with a wind out of the southeast at 8 miles per hour. Temperatures anywhere you go in the 30s here this morning. Featured dog of the day today is Toby Bear, sent in by Gretchen. And look, he's already on brighter days and warmer days to go out there for a walk. And if you are walking the dog today, we'll give you the green pause. No precipitation until this evening, and temperatures will be climbing up into the 40s. Big game tonight in Bloomington, Michigan State versus IU. There will be spotty showers as you walk into Assembly Hall and when you leave, but with temperatures above freezing, it will be all rain. You don't have to worry about any slippery conditions. And then let's quickly fast forward to Saturday. You'll see that there's some snow showers in and around the area. They're going to be very spotty on Saturday. There could be a coating in spots across the area as far as accumulation goes, but it is not going to be widespread. Once we get to Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, mostly cloudy skies, temperatures in the 30s and 40s. Lauren?
All right, Todd, thanks so much. We are still keeping our eyes on this water main break. This is along Brookville Road in the area between Emerson Avenue and Arlington Avenue. It's blocking the two right lanes as you're traveling westbound. Drivers heading westbound can still use that center lane. Just use caution, though, this morning. Eastbound lanes are open. This is an area we'll continue to keep our eyes on. Give yourself a few extra minutes if this is part of your normal commute.
It might have been the most anticipated NBA debut since LeBron James. After missing more than half the season with a knee injury, Zion Williamson made his debut with the New Orleans Pelicans last night. Zion struggled at first. He didn't score his first basket until the second quarter, but in the fourth quarter, he came alive. He scored 17 consecutive points to help give the Pelicans the lead over the San Antonio Spurs. Unfortunately for New Orleans, Zion is on playing time restrictions as he comes back from injuries, so the Spurs went on to win 121-117.
Yeah. Power moves only. No fly zone. We the flyers. We on a higher frequency, baby.
Boom, baby, indeed. The Pacers bounced back from a big loss in a big way Indiana took the lead over the Phoenix Suns in the first half with the help of big nights from T.J. Warren and Domantas Sabonis. They put the game away in the third quarter and cruised to a 112-87 win. The Pacers have won 6 of the last 7 now. The Western road trip continues tomorrow night against the Golden State Warriors.
Well, Throwback Thursday is coming up next, and even in the middle of winter, it's always a good time for ice cream, right? Next, we'll take you back in time to a place that's still a throwback today. Stick around.
Yes, indeed. Visit the Hiring Hoosiers job board. It is time for Throwback Thursday, and this is worth dropping your diet for at least half a day. You see, the city is known for its architecture, right? But it's also home to a delicious ice cream parlor that's unlike any other in our state.
Hopefully, if you spent any time in Columbus, you've made a trip to Zaharico's for a black and white soda. Maybe a scoop or 2 in a cone, maybe all of it.
Yeah, a little of everything. Well, this was opened by Greek immigrants in October 20th, 1900. 40 years ago, legendary Channel 6 anchor Howard Caldwell visited Zaharico's, and he found out about another iconic feature of this ice cream palace.
At Archway are more dining facilities where one finds yet another Zaharico specialty. It's a concert pipe organ from Germany that's been here since 1908, proudly belting out songs of the 1890s. Louis and Manuel don't see a long future life for a family-operated business like theirs. Right now, at least, the 4th generation has followed other pursuits. But customers like Mrs. Garner would be very upset to see anything happen to Zaharico's.
It's just a nice place to come. And you don't find a stranger in here. Everybody, because of the way it's fixed up, everybody's talking about it. And everybody talks to everybody else. They're just nice people.
Okay, so guys, Columbus almost lost Zaharico's when the descendants of the brothers decided to close shop in 2006, but another businessman bought it and restored it, thankfully. The grand reopening was held in 2009, and Zaharico's is still going strong today. And I was just saying, I've always wanted to go here, and I just haven't made it happen.
You need to go. You need to go. All right. State Road 46, you go to Columbus, you have your float, and then you go to Brown County, have a fudge, and then up 65.
Maybe bring Archie for his first ice cream.
That would be a fun place to go.
It is a musical treat. Will the weather be a treat today?
You know, it's not terrible. It's cloudy throughout much of the day. 44 degrees, your high temperature. Starting 6 o'clock onward, though, have the umbrella handy as showers move in.
All right, Todd, thanks. We're back in 25 minutes and all throughout Good Morning America.
We hope you have a great rest of your Thursday.
I'm going to go grab a float and some ice cream, but you have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Good Morning America is next, right here on RTV3.